Hey y'all, before I get into Lefty's losing it, I wanted to kind of see what public opinion is of Meghan Markle. Ooh, she used to be on Suits. That's the only place that I remember her being, besides now, whatever, there's something of Sussex or something. I know she sucks, but whatever. I don't care because I'm not English and I really don't care about like the monarchy and all that stuff. But anyway, it says right on cue and on script, here comes Sparkles, Meghan Markle, another friend of Oprah, and Tyler Perry, NWO plant looking for her 15 minutes with her LA hat, just like when she showed up at the school of the mass Texas shooting with film crews. Leftist agenda driven Hollywood is nothing if not predictable. By the way, her new Netflix series, Megan Makes Cupcakes, or some horse shit drops this month. Just a coincidence. She had her Prince Poodle Harry in tow and just left him. LOL. Let's see. I think this is for the fires because I had heard she was out there just in the
Okay,
mix.
now this is, I'm being told this is a live picture of course, that's Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, of course. And again, live picture, and they're talking to the mayor of Pasadena. That's Victor Gordo. And so let me just get some clarification. This is at the Pasadena Evacuation Center. Is that right?
Of course. Like she said, of course. And then here she is, I guess, putting flowers down like she really gives two craps, but whatever. Ugh. Anyway, I just had to see what it says. Rachel Snarkle McBunion Markle is an A1 gaslighting narcissist, maniacal psychopath. It says, how many narcissists does it take to change a light bulb? None. They all use gaslighting. Let's see what this says. Mm, wow. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I only know her from that one show, but I just, I'm like, what in the world? Okay, well, let me go back and see. Let's look at a few more. It says the Prince and Princess of Wales, the official account of Princess or Prince and Princess of Wales based at Kensington Palace. Okay. She's like that high up in the royal family, but she's got to push a narrative like, oh, everything's just terrible. I mean, she's more privileged than most people. Of course, she claimed that the people in the monarchy or whatever it is in England, their Buckingham Palace, whatever, that those people were racist and saying stuff about her kids. But it says Megyn Kelly brands Meghan Markle a malignant, excuse me, narcissist, and says she's a malignant narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while simultaneously playing the victim. Yeah, oh boy, I can't stay it. Ugh. It says not finished it yet, but she could have had it all. Instead, Markle will be forever known for her greed, deception, megalomania, lies, crassness, bullying, vulgarity, and ungratefulness of being the infamous brazen hussy of modern royal history. It says revenge. Tom Bauer, Britain's top investigative author for the Daily Mail, and then Meghan, Harry, and the war between the Windsors. I mean, I never saw any real issues like with Princess Diana when she was alive. I mean, there probably was stuff going on, but I'm not English, so it doesn't matter to me. I don't care about the monarchy and the whatever they got going on over there in England. That's their problem. But anyway, this lady says Meghan Markle is white passing, dated, married a white man, is raising white children, has majority white friends. She tokenizes the black community, and it's shameful. Let's see what she's saying here.
Now, Megan, I was one of your big supporters. You understand? No one could chat about you. You know what I mean? Because I would have went in on their ass. But girl, I'm giving you the side eye, all the way side eye. I'm giving you the side eye because when I watched your little introduction to the documentary, where are all the black people? Why are there no black people in here, Megan? Megan. I'm scrolling. Yeah. I literally watched the thing about a couple times. I can't see no black people. The only person I could find was Mindy Kaling. And she's Indian. That was it. Where are the black people? You're going to have to start explaining yourself and explain yourself quickly. Because now it's leading me to believe that you only use black people as pawns. You only use black people to raise charity for, to raise funds for. That's all you use black people. You only use black people when you want to run off from the UK and sit down in someone's house, and Tyler Perry was a perfect, black person for that. You only want to use a black person to put out your story and, how you wanted to phrase it. And Oprah was the perfect pawn for that. But when it comes to your inner circle, when it comes to introducing your life, where are they? Where's Serena that you used to par with? Because you're all cheersing and having drinks and saying, oh, my close friends. Your close friends are white. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying I'm looking at you sideways because it clearly shows that you use black people as pawns. You can have upper echelon black people in your circle. They don't all have to be celebrity actors and this, that. They could also be doctors, lawyers, engineers, but at least they're motherfucking black. I've come to the conclusion, Megan, that you lean more into being a white passing biracial person, which is fine.
Wow. Okay. I mean, like I said, I want to see what public opinion says. It says Meghan Markle, a middle-aged ex-cable sitcom mattress actress, went from her blog to marrying a prince and back to wanting to be an influencer in the span of 3 years. Meghan is Fergie 2.0. Oh my goodness. Can someone remind this delusional narcissist that she's a middle-class biracial girl from the suburbs of LA that failed in Hollywood? She's not a royal blood, royal born, debutante raised in castles. She married a man, nothing else. Yeah, so it doesn't seem like they've got a lot of good publicity for her. It says Meghan Markle has been in LA for 5 years, and all she's managed to do is embarrassingly cosplay the BRF, I guess British royal family. Like I said, I don't really crap about England like that or UK, but whatever. It says without them, Oprah and Netflix wouldn't have given a second glance. She handed opportunities she doesn't deserve purely thanks to the real royals. That looks like a shattered man right there. I'm just gonna say it. He looks miserable. Ugh. And she's so full of herself. It says Meghan Markle is a manipulative, toxic narcissist and an inveterate liar, an odious woman, deeply, deeply in love with herself, a grandiose narcissist. And there's people on here that are probably psychologists, and they can probably just tell. It says Meghan Markle is a fraud and a deep state operative in cahoots with CIA that was probably destabilizing the UK and the US since 2016. Her entire story is a lie. I don't know who this is. And a quick hug at Gloria Steinem. Isn't she like a feminist, I guess? A self-made woman, an accomplished woman, a humanitarian, a businesswoman, an intelligent woman, an inspiring woman, a supporter of women and girls. That's Meghan Markle. And before Prince Harry, Meghan is a self-made woman. Okay. I don't know. let's look at this last clip.
She has been a One Young World counsellor since 2014 and a lifelong advocate for the rights of women and girls.
Hang on. This Hollywood starlet is a fiercely intelligent, independent woman who's forged a successful career in the cutthroat world of showbiz. She's a campaigner, a charity worker. She says stuff like Trump is a misogynist. Meghan Markle is no fluffy Sloane whose only aim in life is to marry well. She's a woman with a mind of her own.
Over many decades, there has been significant progress in advancing gender equality and attempts to eliminate discrimination against women. But there's still much more work to be done. Beyond the notion of it being a basic human right, there are, of course, huge socioeconomic ramifications.
There's that one that was supporting it. It says, how do we know Markle is a narcissist, registered domain names for her children, including titles before they were born, lied and misled about the racism comment to elicit support from people of color, and isolated Harry from support networks, but made him believe it was his idea, holds vendettas against people who have more power than her, copies and mimics others, seeks control, power, and relevancy, relentlessly pursues her goals of greatness, plays on the sympathy of others through claims of suicidal ideation, etc. Hundreds more examples. Narcissism, psychopathy has many, many truth points. Ooh, yeah, I don't want to watch anymore. I don't like her, but let's watch. She's on Lefty's Losing It, part of a segment, so let's check it out.
It's time for Lefty's Losing It. Now, this is just maddening. First, the heartbreaking story of two young siblings missing in Nova Scotia for the better part of a week. Canadian police are beginning to scale back search efforts. They say there are low odds the children will still be alive. But listen to how they start a press conference into this tragic story with a inane land acknowledgement. This is Canada.
First, I acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional and unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I also recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years.
Yep, Canada, a country that has suffered enormous damage thanks to the far-left policies of the Trudeau government, and they just voted for more of the same. Let's look at a couple celebrating Mark Carney's big win.
Canada, you did it. You chose hope over hate. Unity over division.
Trump, take note. This is what democracy looks like.
Mark Carney is the leader of Canada and what the world needs right now.
Someone that's ready to stand strong against Trump and defend democracy.
Tonight, Canada sent a message. Tyranny doesn't win here. Fear doesn't win here. Division doesn't win here.
Now, I've tried all week to save you from the dangerous weapon-grade levels of cringe of this following interview, a podcast featuring Meghan Markle, but alas, we must all suffer together. Here is Meghan talking to a woman called Jamie Kern-Lima, who seems to be even more fake and insufferable than the Duchess.
Very first question.
Oh, Lord.
I think in friendship
What's wrong
it's
with
so
her
important.
face?
And I think so many people also have this question for you is,
I thought she was crying when oh my gosh, what the hell's wrong with her face? I think that's the like thumbnail or whatever they have for this video. What is going on with that? Her eyes are like, she's probably had a bit of Botox. Look at her face.
you know, Meghan, how are you? And are you okay?
That's so kind. I am. I'm better than okay.
Ugh. What the
how
hell?
are you?
I know you always make it about me. Today, which by the way, I just have to say, you are the most generous friend. You show up for your friends today. I just get to talk about you.
Cringe.
Oh, I'm excited about it.
Yes, it really is that awful. The whole hour-long ordeal may have even been longer. I may have blacked out from smacking myself in the head. How else are you supposed to deal with tripe like this?
Oh my gosh, I work so hard and I appreciate what hard work looks like. I like working hard. And I'm still working hard, right? The moment that everything sells out, it doesn't mean that we're done. It means we're working on replenishment and what are the next SKUs and what's the next tranche of products and what's the timing on that and writing the newsletters and writing the social media captions and making sure that all that feels in line and what's the cadence of it and what's the photography that we want to do and what do I want to wear for those shoots, while also editing all the time-coded notes for season 2 of With Love, Megan, and then being in edits for the podcast and being a mom and a wife and a friend.
Yeah.
Those are all jobs.
Yeah, Megan wants you to know that she's so busy. She's got no staff. She's out there writing the social media captions herself. So busy. And don't forget, she's a princess too, and Harry is slaying dragons to rescue her.
Lord.
Lord.
Look what we built. We've built a beautiful life and we have 2 healthy, beautiful children. And, and I always think about it like the end of Super Mario Brothers when you get to the final level and what's the goal in Super Mario? They're like, slay the dragon, save the princess. I'm like, that's my husband.
Who's Harry rescuing her from? The family she abandoned before making him abandon his. But don't feel too sorry for Prince Harry. This is a middle-aged man after all. He's about 40. He chose to embarrass his family. He brought tons of grief to the ailing grandmother who supported him throughout his life, Queen Elizabeth II, in her final days. And he now wants to rewrite history.
You accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even, well,
the British press said that.
Right.
Did Meghan ever mention that they're racist?
Hold on. Because there was like big time outrage. Meghan Markle and Oprah Winfrey. Yeah. It says, while psychopathic British media is doing its worst, sending their most vulgar to stalk Prince Harry, Meghan was busy attending an evening with, okay, this isn't what I was looking for. It's basically, okay, it says, girls, stop lying. Meghan Markle told Oprah her mom asked Diana, even gave an interview. Everyone knows the answer. That wasn't a memory. That was a PR move. So let's see what she said here. I don't know if this is the right one, but let's see.
Because I didn't grow up knowing much about the royal family. It wasn't something that was part of conversation at home. It wasn't something that we followed. My mom even said to me a couple months ago, she said, did Diana ever do an interview? She said, did Diana ever do an interview?
Girl, stop lying. We know you're not telling the truth. We see the Duper's Delight smile, and we see how you're using one sentence to manipulate us in multiple ways. The Harry and Meghan Oprah interview wasn't just storytelling, it was legacy building. The full breakdown's up now.
Let's see. I want to see where it's where she talks about basically that the family was racist. On this day, March 7th, the Oprah Winfrey interview with Meghan Markle. 4 years later, Meghan would like the world to address her as Meghan Sussex. The American hustle continues. Let's see. Oprah's keeping Meghan Markle close so she can get the scoop first when the divorce gets announced. Oh, boy. I'm trying to find that because I think they might even have it in there. But she did say that they were talking about the child's race, whatever, whenever it was born. Oh my gosh.
She said there were troubling comments about
there was concern about his skin color.
Right.
Does he think we've forgotten this diabolical travesty?
Concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What? Who is having that conversation? There is a conversation. Hold up.
There's several conversations.
There's a conversation with you,
with Harry,
about how dark your baby is going to be.
Now it's time for some misandry. Here is a young lass who dreams of a world without men.
You men are not going to like me for saying this, but you know what? I don't care. America, I think it's time we form a state where only women can live. No men allowed. Just an estrogen-filled utopia.
That's not a utopia.
Finally live in peace.
Oh, that sounds pretty boring.
That's not a utopia. That's definitely not a utopia. Being around a bunch of other competitive women. Yeah, no thanks. I'm good. I mean, I like having friends that are female, but I wouldn't want to live with a bunch of females. I'm sorry, that's just not gonna happen. It's just not. I don't care what anybody says, that is just not gonna happen. We'll be friends, but we gotta be at a distance. Can't stay together for a long time. Okay.
Man, I'm not sure which ladies are going to sign up to do these very necessary jobs.
Oh Lord. Back-breaking work? I don't think so. Sweaty and dirty? No thanks. I know why she's watching it, but
Oh, I think we need to see more oil rig work for education purposes, of course.
oh my gosh, Miss Rita is bad.
Ooh, now, you may recall our favourite lefty losing it Boston City Councillor, Tanya Anderson.
Oh,
If you
man.
don't remember her, let's have a look at her previous work.
People are not innocent until proven guilty. People are guilty first. People are crucified. People are lynched. Same old tricks, same masters though. Fight! Don't fight! What the do I have to do in this council in order to get respect as a Black woman? I'm not afraid of anybody here.
Well, she's off to prison, folks. She's pled guilty to federal corruption charges, but remarkably, she hasn't resigned as a councillor while she reflects on her pain.
Tonight, Boston City Councilor Tanya Fernandez-Henderson says she loves her constituents and isn't sure when she'll resign. WBZ's Julie McDonald has the latest on the saga that has rocked City Hall.
To my constituents, I love you. I love you dearly.
Outside of federal court Monday after pleading guilty to corruption charges, Boston City Councilor Tanya Fernandez-Anderson said she's reflecting on her faith and practicing gratitude for the pain.
Joining me now
For the
is
pain?
Newsweek's senior
Really?
editor at large and Article 3 Project senior
Oh my
counsel, Josh Hammer. Josh, she wielded her official powers for her own financial gain. She was divisive. She was a race-baiting politician, really the worst of the modern left.
Yeah, it's like one of those Orwellian Frankenstein-like concoctions, right? I mean, it's all like the absolute worst ingredients producing this one particularly iniquitous and just genuinely horrific public official. I mean, this really does have all the various ingredients. I mean, someone who is wielding Hunter Biden-esque corruption, but doing it through official power, not even under kind of the auspices of your parent, as Hunter Biden was doing when he was trafficking Biden family influence. She's literally just wielding power there, and she pled guilty. I have no idea what her particular argument is. I have a sneaking suspicion as to why she thinks that she can get away with it, especially in a very blue city like Boston, Massachusetts. You know, I mean, she's ranking, based on what I can see here on this clip, Rita, she's ranking pretty high in the intersectional DEI totem pole. So I suspect that the good liberals at Harvard University, at MIT, and all the various other dens of Marxist iniquity there in Boston, Massachusetts are probably going to support her through thick and thin there. That's probably why she can get away with it there, but it really is just the perfect encapsulation of all that is wrong with the contemporary American left, isn't it?
Let's go to New York now, sanctuary city, another sanctuary city. And it's seen more gang violence. This time we've had illegal immigrants, some very young ones, targeting police officers.
Well, new video out of New York City tonight of teenage Venezuelan migrants alleged to be Tren de Aragua gang members attacking two NYPD officers in Times Square.
Josh, the officers were attacked while trying to break up a Wolfpack-style robbery. Tell me about these offenders, this sort of violence that we're seeing. Some of the members of this gang are teenagers. Some are as young as 12.
All I can say is I would never travel there to New York. I don't care. I know that's like one of those iconic cities everybody wants to go to. I would never go there, especially with all this stuff going on there. Forget about it. I know there's a lot of history and stuff, but there's no way. I'm good. Because if I can't carry my gun, I'm not going. Just saying. Because that's horrible. The fact that we have governors and mayors and just congressmen and just Democrat leadership that are okay with this kind of stuff. I mean, being perpetrated on your own people. That's ridiculous. No freaking way.
So Tren Nicaragua, just so everyone is aware, this is the Venezuelan gang. They are on the same level as MS-13, as among the most absolute vicious transnational criminal gangs in the entire Western Hemisphere. MS-13 has its origins in El Salvador, and Tren Nicaragua has its origins in Venezuela. So this is the very gang, actually, that Donald Trump made a lot of headlines a couple months ago for invoking the 18th century Alien Enemies Act, this kind of older statute, which would allow him, in theory, if he was not facing an unprecedented judicial insurrection, in theory, invoking the statute would allow him to expedite these highly necessary deportations. So the point, Rita, is that if Donald Trump and his DHS, his ICE, Tom Homan, the border czar, Kristi Noem at DHS, if they had been able to do their job, if these Article 3 black-robed Oracle judicial tyrants had allowed the executive branch to actually enforce this nation's immigration law, I think it's entirely possible that footage never would have existed. These people, it's entirely possible they never would have been. In fact, it's quite likely that they would never have been in this country in the first place there. But unfortunately, when it comes to a city like New York City, and I'm from the New York area, most of my family still lives in the area there. This is unfortunately run of the mill here. In Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, Washington, Boston, which we were just talking about, this is run of the mill stuff in Blue City, America. The good news, as someone who lives in Florida, I can speak to this. The good news is that migration trends in America are away from blue city left-wing hellholes like New York City and Los Angeles. People are flocking to cities like Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, like Miami, Florida, South Florida there. And, oh, gee, I wonder why. It's definitely partially, I would say, for footage just like this.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned the term judicial insurrection there. I like that. I haven't heard that before. But we do have a constitutional crisis, and it's not emanating from the White House. It is from these activist judges who think they can usurp the power of the president, usurp the democratic process, the will of the American people. How is that traveling? Where are we with that?
Well, Rita, I'm glad that you like the term. I'm pretty sure that I was the one who actually coined this, so I'm quite happy myself with the term judicial insurrection. It's actually caught on a little bit here in American media, but it really is pretty unprecedented. I mean, Donald Trump, during his first 4 years as president from 2017 to 2021, he faced 65 so-called nationwide injunctions, which, by the way, is more than the first 44 presidents combined. And there was a case in 2018 called Trump versus Hawaii, the so-called travel ban case. Justice Clarence Thomas very presciently said in a concurring opinion, he said, you know what? Unless this just dies down of its own accord, we're going to have to confront this sooner rather than later, this issue of these so-called lower court nationwide injunctions. That was 7 years ago, and here we are, and it's still just raging like wildfire. So the good news, potentially, is that next week on Thursday, there is a birthright citizenship oral argument with the U.S. Supreme Court, but they're not actually going to be arguing the 14th Amendment merits of birthright citizenship. Rather, it's going to be an argument about the scope of the injunction power of the federal courts. This is actually a really golden opportunity, if the justice actually want to do so, to define what the judicial power in our constitutional order means and what it does not mean. I'm cautiously optimistic they will not let that opportunity go to waste there. But as with all things judicial branch related, Rita, I can only be cautiously optimistic. I've just been burned too many times before to be just particularly gung-ho about it either.
Now let's go back to Times Square, and a new piece of public art has been unveiled, and it's pretty underwhelming, I've got to say.
It looks like Letitia James, just with braids.
I could use stronger language. Tell
grief.
me the reason behind erecting this 12-foot statue of a fictionalized, mildly obese black woman in Times Square.
Let's see. Let's go over here. I want to see if anybody, because I saw one this morning and it looked like Stacey Abrams with the bucket, or no, a burger. Okay, 12 foot statue, and oh yeah, black woman. Okay. Oh, I'll put black woman. Ooh. Black woman. Okay, it says a 12-foot bronze statue of an overweight black woman titled Grounded in the Stars has been installed in the center of Times Square. Let's see. Yeah, the statue of a 12-foot plus size African American woman has been erected in the middle of Times Square. Behold the symbol of liberal secular America, fat and horrible. It does look like Letitia James. Let's open this up a little bit, see. Doesn't it? To me, it looks like that. Anyway, that's just not. If they really want to celebrate diversity, why would you put up a 12-foot plus size black lady bronze statue in NYC? Why plus size? Why is she even dressed like that? No one likes whatever this is supposed to represent. I want to see if I can find that one that's got the Stacey Abrams with the burger. Yeah, this is just all over the place. It's just not good. It says a 12-foot bronze statue witnessed by Sanford Biggers stands in Times Square, inspired by Michelangelo's David. It reimagines the icon as a plus-size black woman, challenging traditional notions of beauty and monumentality. How come all I see is Letitia James? Exactly, that's what I said. Let's see. Oh, good Lord. It says, who installed this nonsensical 12-foot bronze statue of a black woman in the center of Times Square? Maya Angelou, Serena Williams, absolutely 100 British artist Thomas J. Price. Take this BS back to London. Oh, it's like the Statue of Liberty knocking it down. Oh my goodness. Why would anybody want that? Okay, let's see. Burger. It was something I saw. Somebody did it. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, it was basically, it looks like Stacey Abrams instead of Tish James. Big Tish. Ugh. That is so, ugh. I can't. Just gotta go there, don't we? Yeah, I can't find it. It was something. Oh, yeah. Breaking a statue of a 12-foot plus size African American woman has been erected in the middle of Times Square. Very suspicious since it looks like Attorney General. Yes. New York Letitia James. Yes, it does. Oh my goodness. It says Times Square's new statue sparks heated debate over representation and identity. But why can't she be a thin black woman? Why does she have to be plus size? I mean, what would be the point of that? But you know, I guess if we go around tearing statues down, this will be next. Just saying. I mean, if that's what the next set of statues that gets torn down, if that ever happens again. Yeah, I was trying to find it. It's okay. I can't find that right now. I guess it was just on Instagram. It was like somebody created AI. I thought it was funny.
Not exactly a stunning piece of art, the craftsmanship there. It ain't Michelangelo's David, that's for sure.
Yeah, it really is quite a long way from Michelangelo, isn't it? Look, I mean, this is the whole body positivity movement, right? I mean, this is kind of the whole notion of just trying to exalt people who just kind of.
Well, and remember the video I just posted talks about exercise being racist and that protein was MAGA. And then something about the Liver King. I don't know that guy, but anyway,
just go with the diets and they don't exercise, and just trying to make it seem like that. Oh, you know, we've discriminated against obese people for so long by having all these flashy ads with the people who are rail thin there, and you're encouraging all these people to be anorexic. I mean, that's the argument there. But in reality, we want people to be healthy. I mean, last I checked, that's the whole MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, RFP Junior platform. We don't want to be the most obese country in the world. At least I don't. I don't want America to be the most obese country in the world. But unfortunately, PR stunts like this, when you are just exalting morbidity, when you are exalting obesity there. I mean, what do you think is going to happen there? Frankly, this seems to me to be in fairly direct response, actually, to the whole RFK Jr. Maha phenomenon there. They're basically saying, okay, you know what? I mean, our RFK is going to do this in DC when it comes to some vaccine stuff, to food dye, stuff like that there. But you know what? We're going to double down on the notion that it's actually okay to be overweight. The problem, among other things, is that when you exalt obesity in this country there, you are straining the healthcare system. And America's healthcare system, our entitlement programs, Medicare, it's all going bankrupt. So even if you don't particularly care about health, which you should, as a pure fiscal matter, encouraging this sort of stuff is not a good idea.
No, I'm with you there. And just aesthetically, it's not a beautiful piece of work. I think anything time you erect art somewhere, particularly something that's a 12-foot structure, it has to have some beauty about it. I think we've kind of lost track of that. They used to make beautiful buildings. They used to make beautiful public pieces of art, and now we've got things like that. Now let's talk about the Trump administration's tariff policy, particularly the trade war with China. It's working as intended in driving down demand for Chinese-made products. Imports from China have dropped dramatically, Josh. What's that going to mean? Are we going to see shortages, big price hikes? Are you seeing some of those short-term impacts? And how far are we from getting some details about trade deals? The administration has been touting that they're not far away.
Well, I've not personally noticed any retail price hikes yet, but I think a lot of Americans are starting to potentially gear themselves for exactly that sort of thing. In fact, if you look at the international ports, their shipping, it really plummeted after the tariffs were announced, unsurprisingly, in mid to late April. But if you actually go back to the March data, it was actually, if I recall correctly, there was a pretty large increase actually in imports, including from China, because a lot of people were expecting this tariff rollout there. So look, we'll see. There definitely could be a short-term price effect. The good news, as you said, is that Scott Bessent, our Treasury Secretary, is currently meeting this week with his Chinese counterparts. We'll see what happens. Look, China is ultimately more dependent on the United States than the United States is on China. It would be a tough economic decoupling. I'm not suggesting this is the kind of thing that can easily happen overnight. I'm frankly not suggesting that this is the kind of thing that could happen in the short to near term at all, frankly. But if America can ultimately become less dependent on its chief arch geopolitical rival, a country that literally flies spy balloons across our continent, a country that spies on us through everything from TikTok to Confucius Institutes on campus, if we can get less dependent on them, that is a good thing. And if we can reshore more jobs in the process, that's a doubly good thing, frankly.
Now, to another example of America First policies from the Trump administration. This one has some Democrat support. It's good to see. Senators Josh Hawley and Peter Welch are producing legislation to force drug companies not to charge higher prices in the US than the international average. This war against Big Pharma, it's extending well beyond RFK Jr., Josh.
Yeah, this has rapidly become a very aggressive part, I think, of the new Republican Party's platform. But as you mentioned, this is a bipartisan piece of legislation. Senator Hawley and Senator Welch, who's a pretty liberal senator from the state of Vermont. Josh Hawley, who personally is one of my absolute favorite senators, I'm a big fan of his. He has very much been the tip of the spear of a lot more, actually, of these more, shall we say, populist inclined economic styles of bill legislation. He's had previous legislation when it comes to trying to cap credit card fees, a lot of stuff that your typical kind of 1980s nostalgia Republican wouldn't necessarily dream of there. But this is a new breed of Republican. I mean, the entire Donald Trump MAGA Maha coalition there, yeah, it's partially about taking on Big Pharma for sure. And Big Pharma, I think, has a lot of bipartisan enemies across the entire spectrum these days in Washington, D.C. But it's also just partially about this kind of more economically nationalist, more populist style of economic statecraft as well. The tariff policy certainly fits into that as well there. Again, these are the kind of things that the Republican Party, prior to Donald Trump's descent down the gilded escalator at Trump Tower in 2015, never in a million years would have dreamed of. I mean, thinking back to like the 2012 Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan platform, the notion of punitive tariffs on other countries, the notion of trying to cap prescription drug prices, I mean, it would have been a totally foreign exercise there. But this is a very, very different Republican Party in the year 2025.
very different. The neocons are gone. It's a new GOP. It certainly is. But before you go, I just want to quickly ask you about French President Emmanuel Macron. He hosted the Syrian leader Ahmed al-Shara, and earlier today he called on the US and the European Union to lift sanctions against Syria. Josh, this character al-Shara is an Islamist. He's a former member of al-Qaeda. He's got supporters right now targeting religious minorities in Syria. Should he be treated like some dignitary here?
This is disgusting. I mean, this is just utterly appalling. And unfortunately, Emmanuel Macron is not the only person who is treating this al-Qaeda jihadi in a suit as some sort of legitimate leader. I mean, you actually had multiple U.S. congressmen who became the first to fly to Damascus to meet with this Islamist thug about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago or so. So this is rap.
Are we that shocked? We've got congressmen that are willing to meet with somebody like this. I mean, come on. That's not too far off the mark if they're willing to go to El Salvador and other places to meet with gangbangers. I mean, geez. I'm sure they're
becoming
liberals.
A normalized situation that simply should not be normalized, because among the other things, what you alluded to is totally correct. There have been recent massacres. The media is really not reporting this at all. There have been recent massacres of the Syrian Druze population. It's horrific stuff there, because the current government in Damascus is an Islamist government there. This guy puts on a suit. He talks like he's a Harvard DEI professor, talking about the beauty of diversity there when it comes to different types of Sunni, Shia, Druze, Christian, so forth there. He is not a Westerner. This guy's an Islamist. He was literally a peripatetic al-Qaeda jihadi, going from country to country throughout the Middle East, fighting for various offshoots of al-Qaeda, from the original one to al-Nusra to HRT. And now Emmanuel Macron is talking about why. I literally don't get it there. The only thing I can think of is that Macron and France, they have a very unique relationship with Lebanon, of course, there. And Syria, the current government there is very cozy with Hezbollah, which still has a major presence in Lebanon there. So maybe that's what's going on here, but it's really quite appalling and, dare I say, even outright disgusting.
Josh Hannah, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Wow. Anyway, just that Meghan Markle, that stupid statue and all that stuff. Oh, yeah, that's terrible. Anyway, I'm gonna try to get page 16 of the JFK files loaded up, and maybe a couple of videos, depending on how many pages are in each document set or whatever. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great afternoon. Bye.